Joshua is dead. The Israelites have finally arrived in the Promised Land, but they leave their mission unfinished. They allow pockets of native Canaanite tribes to remain in the land alongside them. Living side by side with their enemies leads to a slow, deadly cultural assimilation. Scholars call this Canaanization. Instead of remaining a distinct people, the Israelites start intermarrying with the Canaanites and worshiping their violent fertility gods, like this bronze idol of Baal. By adopting the lifestyle and the gods of their neighbors, Israel rapidly loses its unique national identity. They abandon the very covenant that was supposed to protect them. This diagram illustrates the historical engine of the era, a pattern known as the Judges cycle. It operates in 4 steps: apostasy, where Israel rebels; oppression, where a foreign nation conquers them; supplication, where the people cry for help; and deliverance, where God raises a judge. Looking at this cycle in 3 dimensions reveals a downward vortex. With every spin, the nation and its deliverers sink deeper into moral decay. We enter the top of this spiral with Deborah. She is a righteous prophetess leading Israel through a period of intense Canaanite oppression, representing the high watermark for leadership in this era. She relays a direct command from God to her military general, Barak, ordering him to rise up and fight their oppressors. But Barak refuses to march into battle unless Deborah comes with him. This reluctance exposes the first major crack in Israel's faith and leadership structure. Because of his hesitation, the glory of the final victory doesn't go to the general on the battlefield. Instead, the Canaanite commander is defeated through a gruesome, unconventional assassination by a woman named Jael. Israel survives the threat, but they had to rely on a reluctant leader and a chaotic assassination. The era is already morally compromised. The nation cries out to God again, and the spiral turns downward. This time, God chooses a deeply ambivalent farmer named Gideon. Gideon is plagued by a lack of faith. He repeatedly demands magical signs from God, like leaving a fleece out overnight to see if it gathers dew, just to prove he isn't being tricked. Despite his doubts, Gideon pulls off a brilliant military victory. He takes only 300 men on a night raid, armed with nothing but animal horns and clay vessels, much like these excavated jars. Smashing the jars in the dark sends the massive enemy camp into total panic. But the aftermath reveals Gideon's transformation. He turns his aggression inward, slaughtering fellow Israelites in the towns of Sukkoth and Penuel because they refused to give his army bread. Gideon has adopted the very tyranny he was called to defeat. He then takes the gold plundered from the enemy and builds a golden ephod, a sacred garment that becomes an idol. This plunges his own family and the rest of the nation right back into apostasy. The engine of the era has inverted. The deliverer is now the oppressor, turning his own victory into a spiritual trap for the nation. The spiral reaches its lowest point with Samson. He is a man gifted from birth with superhuman physical strength, but he possesses no moral compass to guide it. He blatantly disregards his sacred Nazirite vows, drinking wine, touching dead bodies, and continuously fraternizing with the very Philistine enemies he is supposed to be fighting. Samson completely abandons his role as a national deliverer. Every time he uses his God-given strength, it is to settle petty, selfish vendettas or to escape his Philistine captors. His story ends in captivity and blindness. In a final, destructive suicide mission, he pushes apart the support pillars of a crowded Philistine temple. These vaulted stone ruins and fallen rubble anchor the scale of that final collapse. By the end of his life, the Savior is just as corrupted and Canaanized as the people he was supposed to save. The judges have proven unable to fix Israel's heart. We reach the final chapters, and the historical cycle breaks down. No more deliverers are raised up. There are no foreign oppressors, and the people stop crying out to God entirely. Instead, the Israelites become their own worst enemy. The society descends into horrific violence, moral rot, and a bloody civil war that nearly wipes out an entire tribe. To explain this collapse, a haunting refrain echoes 4 times. In those days, there was no king in Israel. And the last sentence completes the diagnosis. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. This decentralized, do-it-yourself morality leads to total societal collapse. The downward spiral of the judges finally forces a single conclusion: Israel is a nation in desperate need of a righteous king.